We were young and naive when we came here. I was 31 years old and we needed a roof right away. The roof was leaking, so we put on an asphalt roof. That lasted about 20 years, and then we could afford a little nicer roof and had a cedar shingle roof, which we thought was going to last 50 years, but it only lasted 20 years. So that brings us to this roof. And because I've aged here and I love living here, we wanted to have a roof that really was sustainable and permanent. I was a city boy. I didn't know anything about living in the country or how things worked at all. But I've been here 40 years and I've been learning. Roofs don't last long, that the weather is really hard on the roof. You know, it's the most exposed surface of a house. And the choices are all limited. And I like to try to think sustainably, and there wasn't a sustainable alternative until I found the aluminum and the copper roofs. This is my third roof, and I didn't want my son to have to go through that in the next 70 years. You know, I really wanted just one more roof. I knew that the aluminum roof would qualify. The steel roof on our barn is about 35, 38 years old, and it's not going to last another 38 years. So the choice was aluminum or copper as far as I could figure out. And with my son and Anne being more economically responsible than me, it took about three years to convince them this was a good choice. Yeah. The cedar shingle roof was 20 years old and the shingles were curling up. A couple of them were missing from storm damage. It was supposed to last 50 years, but new cedar is grown, forced grown, and it doesn't last as long as old cedar used to. So we got this roof that was absolutely beautiful for about 5 years and then began to deteriorate. And it was pretty clear that it would be leaking if we didn't replace it really soon. It's huge. It doesn't make sense to keep putting things on your house that you have to tear off and throw away 20 years later. You know, I would rather spend more money on something that is going to last forever. I think that way about the environment in general. It's like we have a disposable mentality about most things, and it's not good for anything. I would ask them to think about the 7 generations to come, to think, you know, think long term and cost it out that way. I wish that we could have afforded a copper roof 40 years ago, or even thought about it. We wouldn't be, you know, it would still be fine, you know. And you know, just that's partly getting older and aging and thinking about all the decisions that one makes in life, especially around maintaining a house that you really love. You know, the first furnace we put in is no longer here. The first windows we put in are no longer here. You have to kind of, and I wish as a 30-year-old I had been able to think like a 70-year-old. You know, I wish I had been able to think into the future and to think sustainably, basically. We both love this farm and feel blessed and privileged that we could live here. I'd never wanted to live anywhere else in my whole life. I hope my son always lives here. And it made sense to buy a roof that we wouldn't have to replace ever. I think the house is going to last another 200 years, and the roof will, which is pretty awesome.